Hello there and welcome. It is so good that you are here, taking this time for yourself. Find a position that feels restful and allow your body to settle. There is nothing you need to do, nothing to figure out. Just let the gentle weight of yourself be held by the surface beneath you. Your breath can soften and slow, finding its own unhurried rhythm. The day can begin to fall away now. Tonight, we will drift through the quiet and steady rhythm of the seasons. We will explore the gentle mechanics of our turning earth, the quiet poetry of solstices, and a world that is always slowly changing. You do not need to follow every word. You can fade in and out. The ideas will be simple and the pace will be calm. All you need to do is rest as we consider the silent, beautiful clockwork of our planet. The reason for the seasons is beautifully simple. It is not about our distance from the sun, but about the tilt of our planet. The Earth leans on its axis at a gentle angle of about 23.5 degrees. As our world journeys around the sun, this tilt remains pointed toward the same spot in space. This means for half of the year, the northern hemisphere is angled toward the sun, receiving more direct light and warmth. For the other half, it is angled away, receiving softer, more slanted light. This simple, steady lean is the quiet engine of our changing world, the cause of summer warmth and winter cool. With unhurried steps, this tilt creates the slow and predictable cycle of the year. Let that idea rest for a moment before we move on. It is a common thought that we have winter when the Earth is farther from the sun. But the truth is a little different. Earth's orbit is not a perfect circle, so its distance from the sun does change. However, for the northern hemisphere, we are actually closest to the sun in early January during the deep of winter. This closest point is called perihelion. The coldest days arrive not because we are far away, but because our part of the world is tilted away from the sun's direct rays. The light strikes us at a low angle, spreading its energy over a wider area and bringing a gentle chill. In this way, the angle of the light is much more important than the distance it travels. Nothing urgent here, only a slow and steady pattern. The word solstice comes from Latin words meaning sun and to stand still. This name beautifully captures what seems to happen on these special days. Around the summer and winter solstices, the sun's path across the sky appears to pause its northward or southward journey. For several days it rises and sets in nearly the same position on the horizon. It has reached its highest or lowest point for the year. This apparent pause is a moment of celestial balance before the sun begins its slow journey back in the opposite direction. It is a quiet turning point in the sky. Over time, this subtle shift guides the long and gentle progression of the seasons on Earth. You can breathe a little deeper and allow the thought to drift. While the solstice marks a point of standing still, the equinox is a time of equal measure. The word equinox translates to equal night, a time when day and night are nearly the same length all across the globe. This happens twice a year, in the spring and the autumn. On these days, the Earth's tilt is not pointed toward or away from the sun. Instead, it is sideways to it. The terminator, the line separating day from night, passes directly through the north and south poles. This moment of balance gives us about 12 hours of daylight and 12 hours of darkness. It is a brief period of global equality in light. As you rest, the feeling of balance can be a soothing thought. Hold the shape of that thought lightly and return to ease. The sun's path across the sky is a long, slow dance that repeats each year. In the summer, it travels high overhead, a bright arc that gives us long days. In the winter, it follows a much lower, shorter path across the southern sky, bringing shorter days and longer nights. The highest point of the sun at midday changes a little each day. It climbs higher from the winter solstice to the summer solstice, and then sinks lower again. This rising and falling is the result of Earth's steady tilt. It is a slow and silent rhythm that governs the light and warmth we feel throughout the year. From a distance, this predictable motion offers a deep sense of calm and order. Let the body grow heavier as the mind stays simple. The planet is divided into two halves, the northern and southern hemispheres. These two regions always experience opposite seasons. When the northern hemisphere is tilted toward the sun, enjoying summer, the southern hemisphere is tilted away, experiencing winter. 6 months later, the roles are reversed. A summer day in Paris corresponds with a winter day in Santiago. This planetary balance means that somewhere on Earth, it is always warm, and somewhere else, it is always cool. Our world is a beautiful system of opposites, a cosmic dance of light and shadow where one half rests, while the other is bathed in daylight. Beneath the surface, this global symmetry keeps the planet's climate systems in constant gentle motion. Let that settle like dust on a quiet floor. The seasons can be defined in two different ways, astronomically and meteorologically. Astronomical seasons are based on the Earth's position and its orbit around the Sun. They begin and end on the solstices and equinoxes. These are precise moments in time. Meteorological seasons, however, are simpler. They align with the calendar months and are based on the annual temperature cycle. For the northern hemisphere, meteorological winter is December, January, and February. Spring is March, April, and May, and so on. This method provides a more consistent way to track climate data from year to year. Both systems describe the same gentle rhythm, just with slightly different starting points. Up close, the details are simple and consistent. Return to the easy rhythm of your breath. The slow wobble of our planet's axis is called precession. It is a very gradual movement, like a spinning top that is slowly losing its momentum. Over a period of about 26,000 years, the direction of Earth's axis traces a slow circle in the sky. This means our North Star is not permanent. Today, it is Polaris. But in about 13,000 years, the axis will point toward a different star, Vega. This precession also means that the timing of the seasons slowly shifts over long periods. The winter solstice that happens in December today will one day happen in November, and then October. It is a cycle so long that it is completely unnoticeable in a human lifetime. In quieter hours, the Earth performs these slow and silent movements. Let the thought soften at the edges and fade. Seasonal changes are far more pronounced the farther you move from the equator. Near the poles, the differences are dramatic. In the summer, the sun may not set at all for weeks or months, creating the phenomenon known as the midnight sun. In the winter, the opposite occurs, with the sun never rising above the horizon, a time called the polar night. This is because the poles are the points around which the planet's tilt is most extreme. A resident of the Arctic Circle experiences a world of immense seasonal contrast, from endless day to endless night. This creates a unique and powerful rhythm for all the life that is adapted to exist there. With simple patience, nature has learned to thrive in these extremes. Rest in the steady comfort of this moment. Near the equator, the concept of 4 distinct seasons melts away. Here, the sun is almost directly overhead all year round. The Earth's tilt has very little effect on the angle of sunlight. Instead of warm and cold seasons, many equatorial regions experience wet and dry seasons. These are driven by shifting wind patterns and ocean currents rather than by temperature changes. The length of the day also remains nearly constant, with about 12 hours of daylight and 12 hours of darkness every day of the year. Life in these regions follows a different rhythm, one based on the coming and going of rain, not the waxing and waning of warmth. In this quiet corner, the cycles of nature find a different expression. Set the idea down and feel the weight release. While the solstices mark the slowest change in daylight, the equinoxes mark the fastest. Around the spring and autumn equinoxes, the amount of daylight gained or lost each day is at its maximum. In mid-latitudes, you might notice the sun setting a few minutes later each evening in the spring, a rapid and encouraging return of the light. Conversely, in the autumn, the darkness seems to arrive more quickly each day. This rapid change happens because the Earth's tilt is sideways to the sun, and our planet's movement in orbit produces the most dramatic effect on the sun's apparent position. It is a time of quick transition before the world settles into the slower pace of summer or winter. Through a soft lens, this acceleration and deceleration is a smooth and gentle curve. Let your shoulders drop and the jaw unclench. The angle of the sun's rays is the key to seasonal warmth. In summer, the sun is high in the sky, and its light strikes the ground at a steep, direct angle. This concentrates the sun's energy into a smaller area, heating the surface efficiently. Think of a flashlight beam pointed straight down, creating a small, bright circle. In winter, the sun is low in the sky, and its rays arrive at a shallow angle. This spreads the same amount of energy over a much larger area, just as a flashlight being cast from the side creates a long, dim oval. This diffusion of light is why winter air remains cool even on a clear, sunny day. Without any hurry, the sun's energy warms the earth in a predictable and gentle way. Feel the calm gather around you again. An important concept for understanding seasons is called axial parallelism. It simply means that as the Earth orbits the Sun, its axis remains pointed in the same direction, toward the same distant point in space. It does not change its tilt as it moves. Imagine carrying a tilted globe around a lamp in a circle, always keeping the globe's axis oriented toward the same wall. On one side of the lamp, the top of the globe would be illuminated. On the other side, the bottom would be. This steady, unchanging orientation of our planet's tilt is what ensures the reliable and repeating cycle of seasons year after year. It is a simple cosmic rule that provides a foundation for the rhythm of our world. As the pattern repeats, a sense of stability emerges. Let that idea rest for a moment before we move on. The summer solstice marks the longest day of the year in each hemisphere. It is the moment when the pole is tilted most directly toward the sun. For the northern hemisphere, this occurs around June 21st. For the southern hemisphere, it is around December 21st. On this day, the sun reaches its highest point in the sky at noon, and we experience the greatest amount of daylight. It is a peak of solar energy, a time of fullness and growth. Many ancient cultures celebrated this day as a time of power and abundance, a marker of nature's peak vitality before the slow, quiet decline toward autumn begins. In a calm rhythm, the light reaches its peak and then gently begins to recede. Nothing urgent here, only a slow and steady pattern. In contrast, the winter solstice is the shortest day of the year and marks the beginning of astronomical winter. This is the moment when the hemisphere is tilted furthest away from the sun. The sun's arc across the sky is at its lowest and shortest, bringing the least amount of daylight in the longest night. While it is the darkest day, it is also a turning point. From this day forward, the light begins its slow return. For this reason, many cultures have seen the winter solstice not as an ending, but as a time of rebirth and hope. It is a quiet promise of the warmth and light that will gradually come back to the world. Along a steady path, the darkness gives way to a slow and steady return of the sun. You can breathe a little deeper and allow the thought to drift. 2 imaginary lines on the globe are directly related to the solstices. These are the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. The Tropic of Cancer, in the northern hemisphere, is the line of latitude where the sun is directly overhead at noon on the summer solstice. Similarly, the Tropic of Capricorn is the corresponding line in the southern hemisphere, where the sun is directly overhead on their summer solstice, which is our winter solstice. These circles mark the farthest north and south that the sun's direct rays will ever reach. Between these 2 lines lies the region known as the tropics, an area of the world that receives direct sunlight at some point during the year. In the gentle background, these lines define the sun's domain on Earth. Hold the shape of that thought lightly and return to ease. Further north and south are the Arctic and Antarctic circles. These are the lines that mark the beginning of the lands of the midnight sun and polar night. Inside the Arctic Circle, on the day of the summer solstice, the sun does not set. It simply circles the horizon for 24 hours. On the winter solstice, it does not rise at all. The reverse is true for the Antarctic Circle. These lines are defined by the Earth's tilt. If the Earth had no tilt, these circles would not exist. They are the boundaries of the most extreme expressions of seasonal light, where the year is divided not just into long and short days, but into a single months-long day and a single months-long night. As the night settles, the vastness of these polar cycles becomes a quiet thought. Let the body grow heavier as the mind stays simple. One of the most famous ancient sites linked to the solstices is Stonehenge in England. This circle of massive stones was built in several stages over thousands of years. Its design seems to be carefully aligned with the movements of the sun. On the summer solstice, a person standing in the center of the monument can see the sun rise directly over a stone outside the main circle, known as the heel stone. On the winter solstice, the setting sun aligns perfectly between 2 of the largest upright stones. These alignments suggest that the monument was used as a calendar or a place of ceremony to mark these crucial turning points of the year. With steady breath, you can imagine the quiet patience of its builders. Let that settle like dust on a quiet floor. In Ireland, there is another ancient wonder aligned with the winter solstice. The passage tomb of Newgrange is a large circular mound, older than Stonehenge in the pyramids of Giza. Above its entrance is a small opening called a roof box. For a brief period on the mornings around the winter solstice, the rising sun shines directly through this opening. A narrow beam of light penetrates a long 19-meter passageway and illuminates the chamber deep inside the tomb. The event lasts for only about 17 minutes. This precise alignment turns a dark, silent chamber into a space filled with golden light, marking the moment when the darkness begins to recede and the sun starts its return. In this way, ancient people found a way to honor the return of light. Return to the easy rhythm of your breath. The solstice is not technically a full day, but a specific moment in time. It is the exact instant when a hemisphere of the earth is tilted as close to or as far from the sun as it can be. This moment can be calculated with great precision. For example, the winter solstice might occur at 10:20 in the evening on December 21st. That is the true astronomical start of winter. The day on which it falls is then referred to as Solstice Day. While we experience its effects as the longest or shortest period of daylight, the event itself is as fleeting as a single tick of a clock, a silent and exact point in our planet's long orbit. Over time, we have built holidays and traditions around these brief, invisible moments. Let the thoughts soften at the edges and fade. A phenomenon known as the lag of the seasons explains why the hottest days of summer usually arrive after the summer solstice. Although June 21st receives the most direct solar energy, it takes time for the Earth's oceans and land to absorb that heat and warm up. The planet's climate has a kind of thermal inertia. The oceans, in particular, are vast reservoirs of thermal energy that heat up and cool down very slowly. So even though the sun's power begins to wane after the solstice, the temperature on land and in the air continues to climb for several weeks, usually peaking in July or August in the northern hemisphere. Under quiet skies, the Earth takes its time responding to the sun. Rest in the steady comfort of this moment. The idea of the sun standing still at the solstice is most apparent if you track its rising or setting position on the horizon. If you were to mark the spot where the sun rises every morning, you would see it move northward each day in the spring. As the summer solstice approaches, that northward movement slows to a near stop. For several days it seems to rise in the same place. Then it begins its slow journey southward again. This subtle pause is the solstice in action. It is a moment of calm at the peak of the sun's journey, a silent turnaround that is only visible through patient observation over many days. With the same easy pace, the sun traces its path without any rush. Set the idea down and feel the weight release. Animals are deeply attuned to the changing light cycles of the seasons. The length of the day, or photoperiod, acts as a powerful signal for many creatures. It can trigger migration, hibernation, and changes in coat color or thickness. For many birds, the increasing daylight of spring is a cue to begin their long journeys north to their breeding grounds. For mammals like the snowshoe hare, the decreasing daylight of autumn signals the time to shed their brown fur and grow a new white coat for winter camouflage. These responses are not learned. They are deeply ingrained biological rhythms, a quiet and ancient connection to the planet's tilt and orbit. In this quiet corner, life moves in harmony with the light. Let your shoulders drop and the jaw unclench. There is a certain quiet beauty to the shortest day of the year. The low arc of the winter sun casts long, soft shadows even at midday. The light has a gentle, golden quality that feels different from the bright, sharp light of summer. The world seems to move at a slower pace. This is a time of rest and conservation in nature. Trees are dormant, many animals are hibernating, and the land seems to be holding its breath, waiting for the return of warmth. The long night of the winter solstice offers a natural invitation to turn inward, to rest, and to find comfort in the stillness. It is a quiet reminder that even in darkness, a turning point is reached. As the pattern repeats, we find comfort in its predictability. Feel the calm gather around you again. The equinoxes mark the beginning of spring and autumn. The spring, or vernal, equinox occurs around March 20th in the northern hemisphere. It signals the start of spring, a time when daylight hours will begin to outnumber the hours of darkness. The autumnal equinox happens around September 22nd, marking the beginning of autumn, when the nights begin to grow longer than the days. Both are moments of transition, points of balance between the extremes of the solstices. They are the midpoints in the sun's journey between its lowest and highest paths in the sky, a time of cosmic equilibrium for our planet. With unhurried steps, the world moves from one season to the next. Let your breathing find a slower pace. On the day of an equinox, the sun rises almost exactly due east and sets almost exactly due west, no matter where you are on Earth. This is because on this day, the Earth's axis is tilted neither toward nor away from the sun, but perfectly to the side. As a result, the sun's path aligns with the celestial equator, a projection of Earth's equator into space. This provides a rare moment of directional clarity. If you were ever unsure of your directions, You could use the rising or setting sun on an equinox to find a true east-west line. It is a small and simple gift of celestial navigation offered twice a year. Along a steady path, the cosmos provides these quiet markers. Feel the simple ease of being here. The equinoxes are the 2 points in the year where the sun's path, known as the ecliptic, crosses the celestial equator. Imagine 2 great circles in the sky, one being the projection of Earth's equator, and the other being the path the sun seems to follow. Because of Earth's tilt, these 2 circles are angled at 23.5 degrees to each other. They intersect at 2 opposite points. When the sun is at one of these intersection points, an equinox occurs. At this moment, the sun shines equally on both the northern and southern hemispheres. It is a precise geometrical event, a silent meeting of cosmic planes. In quieter hours, these celestial mechanics play out far above us, held only to calm and let the rest drift. The subsolar point is the spot on the Earth's surface where the sun is directly overhead. Throughout the year, this point slowly migrates north and south between the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. On the equinoxes, the subsolar point crosses the Earth's equator. For a moment, the sun's rays are perpendicular to the ground right on the equatorial line. This journey of the subsolar point is a direct visual representation of the changing seasons. It moves north toward the Tropic of Cancer, bringing summer to the northern hemisphere, and then south, bringing summer to the southern hemisphere, crossing the equator at each equinox along the way. Without any hurry, this point of direct sunlight traces its yearly path. The mind can feel as quiet as a field at dusk. At the ancient Mayan city of Chichen Itza in Mexico, the equinox brings a remarkable spectacle. The main pyramid, known as El Castillo, is designed to align with the sun on this day. As the sun sets on the spring and autumn equinoxes, its light casts a series of triangular shadows along the side of the grand staircase. These shadows connect with a stone serpent head at the base of the pyramid, creating the illusion of a giant snake of light slithering down the structure. This event, known as the Descent of Kukulkan, attracts many observers. It is a stunning example of how ancient civilizations used architecture to connect with the cosmos and mark the passage of time. Through a soft lens, the wisdom of the past feels present and alive. There is no need to hold on to that detail. There is a popular piece of folklore that says you can balance an egg on its end on the day of the spring equinox. The idea is that the special gravitational balance of the equinox makes this feat possible. In reality, you can balance an egg on its end on any day of the year if you have enough patience. The equinox has no special effect on gravity. The texture of an eggshell has many tiny imperfections that can act as a natural tripod. While the belief is a myth, it offers a gentle and meditative challenge. It connects us to the idea of balance and patience that the equinox represents. In the gentle background, even simple myths can hold a quiet beauty. Let the body feel supported and at peace. There is some evidence to suggest that geomagnetic activity, which causes the auroras, is often stronger around the equinoxes. This may be due to the way the Earth's magnetic field aligns with the solar wind during these times of the year. In March and September, the orientation of Earth's tilted axis can create more favorable conditions for particles from the sun to stream down into our atmosphere near the poles. This interaction excites atoms of oxygen and nitrogen, causing them to glow in beautiful curtains of green, pink, and red light. The equinoxes are a time of balance, but they can also be a time of heightened celestial display. Meanwhile, the silent dance of light and magnetism continues. Let that idea rest for a moment before we move on. Just as animals do, plants also respond to the changing length of the day. This response is called photoperiodism. Many plants use the length of the night as a cue to know when to flower, when to grow, or when to prepare for dormancy. Some plants are long day plants, flowering only when the days grow longer than a certain threshold, like in late spring or summer. Others are short day plants, flowering when the days become shorter, as in the autumn. The equinoxes, as points of rapid change in day length, are powerful signals in the botanical world, triggering a cascade of growth or preparation across entire ecosystems. As you rest, you can picture this quiet and intelligent response happening all around you. Nothing urgent here, only a slow and steady pattern. The term vernal, as in the vernal equinox, comes from the Latin word for spring. It is related to the idea of greenness and new growth. The vernal equinox marks the beginning of a period of vigorous life in the northern hemisphere. After the cold and quiet of winter, the land begins to awaken. The increasing light and warmth trigger the germination of seeds, the budding of trees, and the return of migratory animals. It is a time of renewal and promise. This single word, vernal, holds within it the feeling of fresh earth, gentle rain, and the first hints of green returning to the landscape. With simple patience, the world renews itself each spring. You can breathe a little deeper and allow the thought to drift. The autumnal equinox carries with it the spirit of harvest and preparation. The word autumn itself has roots in the idea of increasing and passing away. As the days begin to shorten after the autumnal equinox, plants slow their growth. Deciduous trees begin the process of shedding their leaves, and many animals focus on gathering food for the winter ahead. For agricultural societies, this has always been a crucial time of gathering in the crops, a culmination of the year's work. It is a season of abundance and also of letting go, a gentle transition from the fullness of summer to the quiet introspection of winter. As the night settles, the feeling of a bountiful, peaceful harvest can be a comforting thought. Hold the shape of that thought lightly and return to ease. Deciduous trees lose their leaves in autumn as a brilliant strategy for survival. In winter, water in the ground can freeze, making it difficult for trees to absorb. Broad leaves also lose a lot of water to the air. By shedding their leaves, trees conserve precious water and energy, entering a state of dormancy to wait out the cold, dry winter months. Before the leaves fall, the tree pulls valuable nutrients like nitrogen and phosphorus back into its trunk and roots to be stored for the spring. This annual cycle of release and reclamation is an elegant solution to the challenges of seasonal change. Up close, the wisdom of the natural world is profound and simple. Let the body grow heavier as the mind stays simple. The beautiful colors of autumn leaves are the result of a quiet chemical process. As the days shorten and cool, trees stop producing chlorophyll, the green pigment that captures sunlight for photosynthesis. As the green fades, other pigments that were there all along are revealed. Carotenoids, which are also found in carrots and corn, create the bright yellows and oranges. In some trees, cool nights and sunny days trigger the production of new pigments called anthocyanins, which create the brilliant reds and purples. Each species of tree has its own unique combination of these pigments, painting the autumn landscape in a diverse and gentle palette of color. From a distance, the forest seems to glow with a soft, warm light. Let that settle like dust on a quiet floor. In winter, many plants enter a state of dormancy. This is a period of suspended animation, where growth and metabolic activity slow to a minimum. It is a protective measure against the freezing temperatures and lack of available water. During dormancy, the plant is not dead, but simply resting. It relies on stored energy in its roots, bulbs, or stems to survive until conditions are favorable again. Buds that will become next year's leaves and flowers are often already formed, tightly sealed against the cold, waiting patiently for the signal of longer days and warmer soil to burst forth. In this way, life quietly persists through the harshest part of the year. Return to the easy rhythm of your breath. A blanket of snow can be a great benefit to the life sleeping below it. Snow is mostly trapped air, which makes it an excellent insulator. A thick layer of snow protects the roots of plants, hibernating animals, and dormant seeds from the extreme cold of the air above. The ground temperature under a deep snowpack might remain close to freezing, even when the air temperature drops far below. This stable, insulated environment helps ensure the survival of the forest floor's delicate ecosystem. Snow also stores water, which will be released gently into the soil during the spring thaw, providing a crucial drink for awakening plants. And a calm rhythm. Even a cold winter snow provides protection and care. Let the thoughts soften at the edges and fade. The budding of trees in spring is a beautifully orchestrated event. As the days grow longer and the temperature rises, dormant buds on branches begin to swell. These buds are tiny, compact packages containing the beginnings of new leaves and flowers, protected all winter by tough outer scales. Inside, the cells begin to divide and grow, fueled by the stored energy from the previous year. Eventually, the scales peel back, and the tender new leaves unfurl, often in just a few days. The forest canopy is transformed from a network of bare branches into a vibrant sea of green. It is a visible sign of the planet's unwavering commitment to renewal. With steady breath, you can feel the sense of gentle unfolding. Rest in the steady comfort of this moment. The phenomenon of vernalization is another example of nature's patient timing. Some plants, such as winter wheat and many fruit trees, require a prolonged period of cold exposure before they can flower. This biological requirement ensures that they do not start to blossom during a brief warm spell in the middle of winter, only to be damaged by a subsequent frost. They need to experience the full passage of the cold season to know that it is truly safe to start their reproductive cycle. The cold itself is the key that unlocks the potential for flowering in the spring. It is a quiet form of memory within the plant, a way of measuring the deep rhythm of the seasons. Without any hurry, nature uses memory to ensure its own success. Set the idea down and feel the weight release. Even in the depths of winter, when the world above ground seems still, there is quiet activity happening beneath the surface. The roots of many trees and perennial plants can continue to grow slowly as long as the soil is not frozen solid. They are not growing as actively as they do in the spring or summer, but they are still extending their reach, anchoring the plant and absorbing any available nutrients. This slow and steady work during the off-season prepares the plant for the burst of growth that will be required in the spring. It is a reminder that even in times of apparent rest, there is often a deep and subtle preparation taking place. Elsewhere in this picture, hidden processes are at work. Let your shoulders drop and the jaw unclench. Seeds are remarkable packages of potential, designed to wait for the perfect moment to grow. Many seeds have built-in dormancy mechanisms that prevent them from germinating at the wrong time of year. Some require a period of cold, just like vernalizing plants. Others have tough outer coats that need to be worn down by weather or time. Some even need to pass through the digestive system of an animal. These strategies ensure that the seed only sprouts when conditions like temperature, moisture, and light are just right for the young seedling to survive. A single seed can wait for days, years, or even decades for its moment to arrive. Through a soft lens, this patience seems like a form of deep wisdom. Feel the calm gather around you again. The yearly cycle of animal migration is one of the great marvels of the natural world. Driven by seasonal changes in food availability, temperature, and breeding habitats, countless species undertake incredible journeys. Arctic terns fly from the Arctic to the Antarctic and back again each year. Wildebeest cross the plains of Africa in search of green grass. Salmon return from the ocean to the very stream where they were born. These migrations are not random wanderings. They follow ancient established routes, passed down through generations or encoded in their genetics. It is a global-scale response to the planet's tilt, a testament to life's ability to move with the rhythm of the Earth. As the pattern repeats, a larger story of connection becomes clear. Settle back into the soft pace of night. Hibernation is a state of deep rest that some animals use to survive the winter. It is far more than just a long sleep. During hibernation, an animal's heart rate, breathing, and body temperature drop dramatically. A hibernating groundhog, for example, might have a heart rate of only 5 beats per minute, and a body temperature just a few degrees above freezing. This state of reduced metabolism allows the animal to conserve energy and survive for months on its stored body fat, without needing to eat or drink. It is a profound state of suspension, a way of letting the harshest part of the year pass by in a deep, quiet dream. In quieter hours, the world slows down for these creatures. Allow the mind to idle in gentle space. Many animals adapt to the changing seasons by changing their appearance. The most well-known example is growing a thicker coat of fur for winter insulation. But some animals take it a step further with seasonal camouflage. The stoat, a type of weasel, is brown in the summer but turns completely white in the winter, becoming what is known as an ermine. This allows it to blend in perfectly with the snowy landscape, helping it to avoid predators and sneak up on its prey. The snowshoe hare and a bird called the ptarmigan also undergo this same seasonal color change. This transformation is triggered by the changing length of the day, a reliable signal that winter is on its way. In this quiet corner, nature's clever adaptations bring a sense of peace. Let the body be held by what supports you. Another strategy for surviving winter, less profound than hibernation, is called torpor. Torpor is a short-term state of decreased activity and metabolism. It can last for several hours or a full day. Animals like hummingbirds and bats use daily torpor to conserve energy. A hummingbird has an incredibly fast metabolism, and it would not be able to survive a long, cold night without food. So, it enters a state of torpor, allowing its body temperature to drop significantly and its heart to slow down. This reduces its energy needs until the sun rises and it can resume foraging. It is a mini hibernation, a nightly retreat into stillness that allows these tiny creatures to survive. In a steady progression, even the smallest animals find ways to endure. Allow the day to fall away now. Insects have developed a wide array of strategies for surviving the cold of winter. Many, like the morning cloak butterfly, overwinter as adults, finding shelter in tree cavities or under loose bark. Others survive as eggs, safely encased and waiting for the warmth of spring to hatch. Some moth species, like the Isabella tiger moth, spend the winter as caterpillars. Its woolly bear caterpillar can famously survive being frozen solid by producing a natural antifreeze in its body. When spring arrives, it thaws out and continues its journey to becoming a moth. Each of these methods is a quiet, effective solution to the challenge of a world that grows cold for part of the year. With the same easy pace, life finds a way to pause and then continue. Rest in the quiet that follows. One of the most gentle signs of autumn is the behavior of squirrels gathering and burying nuts. This activity, known as caching, is a vital preparation for the winter months when food will be scarce. A single gray squirrel might bury several thousand nuts in a season. They have a surprisingly good spatial memory, which helps them relocate their hidden stores. However, they do not find all of them. The nuts that are forgotten are often perfectly planted, and many of them will sprout into new trees in the spring. In this way, the squirrel's act of preparation for winter also serves as an act of planting for the future of the forest. With unhurried steps, the cycles of giving and taking create a balanced ecosystem. Let your breathing find a slower pace. The changing seasons also have a profound effect on the world's oceans. Shifting wind patterns and temperature gradients drive the movement of vast ocean currents. These currents act like a global conveyor belt, distributing heat around the planet and influencing weather patterns far inland. The seasonal melting and freezing of sea ice at the poles also plays a crucial role. This cycle affects the ocean's salinity and density, which in turn helps to power the deep ocean currents that move slowly through the abyss. This vast, silent circulation of water is a key part of Earth's climate system, all of it ultimately driven by the simple, steady tilt of our planet. Over time, these slow currents moderate the temperatures of the entire world. Feel the simple ease of being here. The sounds of the world change with the seasons. Summer is often filled with a chorus of life, the buzz of insects, the songs of birds, the rustle of leaves in a full canopy. As autumn arrives, many of these sounds fade. The air grows quieter, punctuated by the crisp rustle of dry leaves underfoot. Winter can bring a profound silence, especially after a fresh snowfall, which absorbs sound and blankets the world in a soft quiet. Then, in spring, the sounds return. The first birdsong at dawn, the dripping of melting ice, and the hum of awakening life create a gentle and hopeful soundtrack to the new season. Each season has its own unique acoustic signature, a rhythm of sound and silence. In this way, you can hear the turning of the year. Hold only the calm, and let the rest drift. For many animals, spring is the season for reproduction. The increasing daylight, warmer temperatures, and renewed abundance of food create the ideal conditions for raising young. The timing is crucial. Offspring that are born too early might face harsh weather or a lack of food. Those born too late might not have enough time to grow and prepare for the following winter. Over countless generations, the breeding cycles of most species have become finely tuned to the local climate and seasonal rhythm. From the laying of a bird's egg to the birth of a fawn, the arrival of new life is often tied directly to the promise of the vernal equinox. As you rest, this cycle of renewal provides a deep sense of continuity. The mind can feel as quiet as a field at dusk. The figure-8 pattern that the sun makes in the sky over a year is called the analemma. If you were to take a photograph of the sun from the same spot at the same time of day for a full year, you would see this shape. The sun is at the top of the figure-8 on the summer solstice, and at the bottom on the winter solstice. The width of the shape is caused by the speeding up and slowing down of Earth in its elliptical orbit. This elegant pattern is a visual representation of our planet's tilt and changing orbital speed. It is a hidden dance in the sky, a signature of our place in the cosmos, visible only through patient observation. From a distance, the complexity of orbital mechanics resolves into this simple, graceful shape. There is no need to hold on to that detail. The concept of an Indian summer, or an old wives' summer in some parts of Europe, describes a period of unseasonably warm and sunny weather that occurs in the middle of autumn. After the first frosts have passed and the air has turned crisp, the weather can suddenly shift back to a gentle, hazy warmth that feels like a brief return of summer. The term's origin is uncertain, but the experience is a common and cherished one in many temperate climates. It is a moment of grace, a final soft echo of warmth before the deep chill of winter truly sets in. It feels like a quiet gift from the season, a last, lingering breath of summer air. Under quiet skies, these gentle anomalies provide a sense of calm surprise. Let the body feel supported and at peace. Between the solstices and equinoxes are the cross-quarter days. These are the midpoints of the seasons. Ancient Celtic cultures placed great importance on these days, marking them with festivals. Samhain around November 1st marked the end of the harvest and the beginning of winter's darkness. Imbolc, in early February, was a festival of returning light. Beltane, in early May, celebrated the peak of spring and the start of summer's growth. And Lugnasad, in August, was the time of the first harvest. These cross-quarter days provide a more gradual 8-part division of the year, connecting more closely to the agricultural and pastoral cycles of life. Along a steady path, these ancient rhythms still echo in our modern calendar. Notice the gentle space between your thoughts. A leap year is a simple and elegant solution to a small mathematical problem. A year, the time it takes for Earth to orbit the Sun, is not exactly 365 days. It is about 365.24 days long. That extra quarter of a day may not seem like much, but over time, it adds up. Without any correction, our calendar would drift out of sync with the astronomical seasons by about 1 day every 4 years. To fix this, we add an extra day, February 29th, to the calendar every 4 years. This keeps the solstices and equinoxes occurring around the same dates each year, ensuring that our calendar remains a reliable guide to the seasons. In quieter hours, simple adjustments keep large systems in balance. Let that idea rest for a moment before we move on. Our neighboring planet Mars also experiences seasons, and in some ways, they are even more pronounced than on Earth. Mars has an axial tilt very similar to ours, at about 25 degrees. However, its orbit is much more elliptical or oval-shaped than Earth's. This means its distance from the Sun varies a lot more, which adds to the seasonal effect of its tilt. When the southern hemisphere of Mars is tilted toward the Sun, the planet is also near its closest point to the Sun, leading to very warm summers. The result is a planet with dramatic seasonal changes, including the growing and shrinking of its polar ice caps and massive global dust storms. Elsewhere in this picture, other worlds dance to similar celestial rhythms. Nothing urgent here, only a slow and steady pattern. The planet Uranus has the most extreme seasons in our solar system. This is because it is tilted on its side, with an axial tilt of about 98 degrees. Its axis of rotation is nearly parallel to its orbital plane. As Uranus orbits the Sun, a journey that takes 84 Earth years, one pole faces the Sun for 21 years of continuous daylight. Then, as it continues, the equator faces the Sun for a long period of rapid day-night cycles. Following that, the other pole is plunged into a 21-year-long winter of total darkness. It is a world of unimaginable seasonal extremes, a planet where a single summer lasts for decades. In the gentle background, the variety of worlds in our solar system is vast. You can breathe a little deeper and allow the thought to drift. Not all planets have significant seasons. Venus, for example, has an axial tilt of only about 3 degrees. For this reason, it has almost no seasonal variation. However, its thick, toxic atmosphere traps so much heat that the entire planet is a constant, searing temperature of over 460 degrees Celsius. Jupiter, the largest planet, is also tilted by only about 3 degrees, so it too lacks meaningful seasons. Its weather is instead driven by its rapid rotation and the immense heat radiating from its interior. Seasons, as we know them, are a special feature of worlds with a noticeable tilt, a moderate atmosphere, and a stable orbit. With steady breath, you can appreciate the delicate balance that makes our world's seasons possible. Hold the shape of that thought lightly and return to ease. The precession of the equinoxes is the slow westward drift of the equinox points along the ecliptic. This is caused by the same 26,000-year wobble of Earth's axis that changes our pole star. Each year, the equinox occurs just a tiny bit earlier in our orbit. This slow shift has had interesting historical consequences. For example, 2,000 years ago, the spring equinox occurred when the sun was in the constellation of Aries. Today, due to precession, it now occurs in the constellation of Pisces. Over millennia, this silent drift redraws the map of the sky, a quiet and profound change that is invisible to us, but is always happening. With unhurried steps, even the stars shift their positions relative to our seasons. Let the body grow heavier as the mind stays simple. The Milankovitch cycles are long-term, collective effects of changes in Earth's movements on its climate. There are three main cycles. The first is the shape of Earth's orbit, which varies from nearly circular to more elliptical over about 100,000 years. The second is the change in the tilt of Earth's axis, which oscillates between about 22 and 24.5 degrees over 41,000 years. The third is precession, the 26,000-year wobble. Together, these cycles alter the amount and distribution of solar radiation reaching the Earth, and are believed to be a major driver of long-term climate patterns, including the coming and going of ice ages. Without any hurry, our planet breathes in cycles that span vast gulfs of time. Let that settle like dust on a quiet floor. The idea of 4 distinct seasons is largely a concept from the temperate zones of the world. For those living in mid-latitudes, the cycle of spring, summer, autumn, and winter is a fundamental rhythm of life. However, this is not a universal experience. In polar regions, the year is better described by 2 seasons, light and dark. In many tropical regions near the equator, the primary seasons are wet and dry, and in some parts of the world, like South Asia, the year is traditionally divided into 6 seasons based on the subtle shifts of the monsoon and temperature. The way we perceive and name the seasons is a reflection of our local environment. Up close, the world's climates show a beautiful diversity. Return to the easy rhythm of your breath. The shadow of a single tree can act as a simple and beautiful seasonal clock. In the summer, when the sun is high in the sky, the shadow it casts at noon is short and compact. As the seasons shift toward winter, the sun's path becomes lower, and the tree's noon shadow grows longer and longer. The winter solstice is the day it casts its longest shadow of the year. Ancient peoples could have used a simple stick in the ground, a gnomon, to track these changes and predict the coming seasons with great accuracy. The length of a shadow is a silent and reliable indicator of our planet's position in its orbit. In this way, light and shadow tell the story of the year. Let the thoughts soften at the edges and fade. Each season carries with it a unique collection of scents. Spring often smells of damp earth, melting snow, and the first fragrant blossoms. Summer is filled with the scent of cut grass, warm pavement after a rain shower, and the heavy perfume of flowers in full bloom. Autumn has a distinctive smell of dry leaves, wood smoke, and the crisp, clean air that follows a cold front. And winter can smell of pine needles, cold stone, and the pure, almost scentless air of a deep freeze. These smells are powerful triggers for memory and emotion, connecting us deeply to the cycles of the year in a way that goes beyond sight and sound. As you rest, you can imagine these gentle scents drifting by. Rest in the steady comfort of this moment. The reliable, repeating nature of the seasons provides a deep sense of comfort and stability. In a world that can often feel unpredictable, the knowledge that spring will always follow winter and that the light will always return after the darkest day is profoundly reassuring. This cycle is one of the most fundamental constants of our existence. It is a rhythm that has shaped all of life on Earth. The turning of the planet, The steady tilt of its axis and the long, slow journey around the sun create a foundation of order upon which all complexity is built. Trusting in this simple, recurring pattern can bring a sense of peace. As the pattern repeats, you can sink a little deeper into rest, set the idea down, and feel the weight release. The Earth's atmosphere plays a crucial role in moderating our seasons. It acts like a blanket, trapping some of the sun's heat and preventing temperatures from dropping to extreme lows at night. It also helps to distribute heat around the planet through winds and weather systems, softening the temperature differences between the equator and the poles. Without our atmosphere, the Earth's surface would experience much more dramatic temperature swings between day and night, and between summer and winter. This gentle, gaseous envelope makes our world a more stable and comfortable place to live, smoothing out the edges of the seasonal cycle. In a calm rhythm, the air around us provides silent protection. Let your shoulders drop and the jaw unclench. Evergreen trees, like pines and firs, have adapted to keep their leaves, or needles, through the winter. These needles are coated in a waxy substance that helps prevent water loss, and their thin shape reduces the surface area exposed to cold, drying winds. The dark green color helps them absorb as much energy as possible from the weak winter sun. By not shedding their leaves, evergreens are able to start photosynthesizing as soon as the weather is mild enough in the spring, without having to spend energy growing a new set of leaves. They represent a different strategy for enduring the seasons, one of steady perseverance rather than dormant retreat. Through a soft lens, their constant green offers a feeling of endurance. Feel the calm gather around you again. The resilience of alpine flowers is a quiet testament to the power of life. These plants live in harsh mountain environments with short growing seasons. They often grow low to the ground in dense cushions to protect themselves from the wind and cold. Many have bright, colorful flowers to attract the few pollinators that are active at high altitudes. They must complete their entire life cycle, from sprouting to flowering to setting seed, in the few short weeks between the melting of the snow and its return. These small, sturdy plants are experts at making the most of a brief window of opportunity, a beautiful example of life thriving in the most challenging of conditions. In this quiet corner, even the smallest flower has a powerful story. Settle back into the soft pace of night. The monarch butterfly's migration is a multi-generational marvel. The butterflies that fly south to Mexico and California for the winter are not the same ones that return in the spring. That generation will lay eggs and their offspring will begin the journey north. It takes 3 or 4 successive generations, each living only a few weeks, to complete the trip northward. However, the final generation of the year is different. It undergoes a change that allows it to live for many months and make the entire 2,000-mile journey south in a single flight. They somehow navigate to the same overwintering sites their great-grandparents left, a mystery that science is still unraveling. With simple patience, nature accomplishes these incredible feats. Allow the mind to idle in gentle space. The quiet of a forest in deep winter is a unique and peaceful experience. The bare branches of deciduous trees create an open, airy canopy, allowing more light to reach the forest floor. The sounds of birds and insects are largely absent. After a fresh snow, the world is muffled and still. The air is crisp and clean. It is a time of deep rest for the ecosystem. In this stillness, you can more easily notice the subtle details, the tracks of a lone animal in the snow, the sound of the wind in the pine trees, the sturdy, dark shapes of the sleeping trees. It is a different kind of beauty, one of stillness and quiet contemplation. In quieter hours, the world reveals a simpler, more minimal form. Let the body be held by what supports you. The way water temperature changes with the seasons affects the behavior of fish and other aquatic life. In the summer, the surface of a lake warms up, creating a distinct top layer of warmer, lighter water. Colder, denser water remains at the bottom. Many fish will move between these layers, seeking their preferred temperature. In autumn, as the surface water cools, it becomes denser and sinks, causing the lake to turn over. This process mixes the water, distributing oxygen from the surface to the depths. A similar turnover happens in the spring. This seasonal mixing is vital for the health of the lake's ecosystem, replenishing the deep water with the oxygen needed for life to thrive. Along a steady path, these hidden cycles support the visible world. Allow the day to fall away now. Cold-blooded animals, or ectotherms, like reptiles and amphibians, are particularly governed by the seasons. Their body temperature is regulated by their external environment. In the summer, they are active, basking in the sun to warm up. But as winter approaches and temperatures drop, their metabolic processes slow down. Many find shelter underground or at the bottom of a pond and enter a state of dormancy called brumation. It is similar to hibernation, but they may wake up on warmer days to drink water. The lives of these creatures are a direct reflection of the sun's energy, a slow and graceful dance of activity and stillness dictated by the turning of the earth. As the night settles, the idea of a deep, simple rest feels natural. Rest in the quiet that follows. The very first buzzing of a bee in the spring is a sound of great significance. Queen bumblebees, which have been hibernating alone underground all winter, are among the first to emerge. Warmed by the spring sun, they will search for nectar to regain their strength and then find a suitable nest site to start a new colony. The arrival of these essential pollinators is a crucial step in the awakening of the landscape. Their work allows flowers to be fertilized and to produce the fruits and seeds that will feed countless other creatures. That single gentle buzz is the sound of a complex and beautiful system kicking back into gear. Without any hurry, one small action begins a chain of renewal. Let your breathing find a slower pace. The celestial equator is an imaginary great circle in the sky, in the same plane as the Earth's equator. It is the baseline from which the positions of stars are measured. The ecliptic is the path the sun appears to take through the constellations over the course of a year. Because the Earth is tilted, the ecliptic and the celestial equator are tilted relative to each other. The 2 points where they cross are the equinoxes. The 2 points where they are farthest apart are the solstices. These 4 points, the framework of our seasons, are created by the simple geometry of 2 intersecting circles in space, an elegant and orderly design. From a distance, the architecture of the cosmos reveals itself in clean, simple lines. Feel the simple ease of being here. The term solstice can feel like a contradiction, a moment of standing still that also marks a great turning point. It is the peak of light or darkness, but it is also the moment the journey back to the opposite extreme begins. This duality is part of its quiet power. It reminds us that even at moments of fullness or emptiness, a change is already underway. The longest day holds the seed of the growing night, and the shortest day holds the promise of the returning light. The cycle is continuous and flowing, and the moments of pause are also moments of initiation. There is no true stopping point, only a continuous, gentle rhythm of change. Meanwhile, the world turns without interruption. Hold only the calm and let the rest drift. The lag of the seasons also applies to winter. The winter solstice, around December 21st, is the day with the least solar energy, but it is usually not the coldest day of the year. Just as the oceans and land take time to warm up in summer, they also take time to release their stored heat in winter. The coldest period of the year in the northern hemisphere is often in January or February, weeks after the solstice. The Earth's thermal mass acts as a buffer, slowing down the response to the changing solar input. This creates a smoother, more gradual temperature curve throughout the year, softening the transitions and creating a more stable climate. In the gentle background, this buffering effect adds to the planet's sense of calm. The mind can feel as quiet as a field at dusk. At the North and South poles themselves, the sun's behavior is at its most extreme. At the North Pole, the sun rises around the March equinox and then remains above the horizon for the next 6 months. It circles the sky, never setting, gradually getting higher until the June solstice, and then slowly descending again until it finally sets around the September equinox. This is followed by 6 months of continuous darkness. At the South Pole, the cycle is reversed. For an observer at the very pole, there is only one sunrise and one sunset per year. It is a place where a day and a year are almost the same length. With steady breath, you can imagine this vast, slow turning of the sky. There is no need to hold on to that detail. Many ancient cultures around the world built observatories to track the sun's seasonal movement. Besides Stonehenge and Newgrange, there are countless other examples. The woody Yuang stone arrangement in Australia, built by indigenous Australians, may predate Stonehenge and appears to map the solstices. In Peru, the 13 towers of Chenquillo form a solar observatory that marks the sun's position throughout the year. These structures show a universal human desire to connect with the cosmos, to understand the rhythms of the sun, and to mark the passage of time. They are monuments to patience, observation, and a deep respect for the cycles that govern life. Over time, we see this shared wisdom emerge across the globe. Let the body feel supported and at peace. The growth rings of a tree are a beautiful physical record of the seasons it has lived through. Each year, a tree adds a new layer of wood to its trunk. In the spring, when growth is fast, the wood cells are large and light-colored. In the summer and autumn, growth slows and the cells are smaller and darker. This creates a distinct ring with a light part and a dark part. The width of the ring can tell a story about the conditions of that year. A wide ring might indicate a year with good rainfall and plenty of sun, while a narrow ring might suggest a drought or a cold summer. A tree's trunk is a quiet diary of time, written in the language of wood. Through a soft lens, the history of a forest is visible in its patterns. Notice the gentle space between your thoughts. While Earth's seasons are caused by its tilt, Mercury has essentially no tilt and therefore no seasons. However, it has extreme temperature swings for a different reason. Its orbit is highly eccentric and it rotates very slowly. One day on Mercury lasts for about 59 Earth days. Because there is almost no atmosphere to trap heat, the side facing the sun can reach over 400 degrees Celsius, while the side in darkness can plummet to minus 170 degrees Celsius. Its seasons are not of warmth and cold, but of fire and ice, changing with the long, slow crawl of its day and its eccentric path around the sun. In this quiet corner of the solar system, another world experiences a different kind of rhythm. Let that idea rest for a moment before we move on. The changing of the seasons has inspired countless works of art, music, and literature. Vivaldi's The Four Seasons is a famous musical depiction of the year's cycle. Painters throughout history have been drawn to the unique light and color of each season, from the bright greens of spring to the muted tones of winter. Poets have used the seasons as metaphors for the stages of life, for feelings of joy, melancholy, renewal, and rest. This deep cultural connection shows how the rhythm of the earth is also a rhythm within us. It speaks to our own experiences of growth, change, and return. In this way, The outer world reflects our inner world. Nothing urgent here, only a slow and steady pattern. The feeling of the first truly warm day of spring is a cherished experience. After months of cold, the sensation of the sun's warmth on your skin can feel deeply comforting and hopeful. The air itself seems to soften. The world feels like it is taking a deep, collective breath. This moment is more than just a change in temperature. It is a psychological turning point, a signal that the time of scarcity and retreat is over, and a time of ease and expansion is beginning. It is a simple physical pleasure that connects us directly to our planet's journey and the return of its life-giving energy. As you rest, you can imagine that gentle warmth spreading through you. You can breathe a little deeper and allow the thought to drift. The beauty of a frosty morning in late autumn or winter is subtle and intricate. When the air is moist and the temperature drops below freezing, water vapor can deposit directly onto surfaces as delicate ice crystals. This is called hoarfrost. It coats every branch, fence post, and blade of grass in a fragile crystalline sheath. When the morning sun strikes it, the world can seem to glitter and sparkle with a million tiny points of light. This beauty is fleeting, as the frost will melt as soon as the temperature rises. It is a quiet, temporary art made by the atmosphere itself. In quieter hours, nature creates these magical, transient displays. Hold the shape of that thought lightly and return to ease. The northern and southern hemispheres have their seasons at opposite times, which affects global holidays. When people in the northern hemisphere are celebrating Christmas in the cold of winter, people in Australia and South America are often celebrating with barbecues on the beach in the height of their summer. The image of a snowy Christmas is a cultural one, tied to the temperate northern climate. This simple fact is a good reminder that our own experience of the seasons is not the only one. Our planet is a diverse place, with half of it always enjoying a different phase of the annual cycle. With steady breath, our perspective can widen to include the whole world. Let the body grow heavier as the mind stays simple. The changing length of the day affects not only plants and animals, but humans as well. Our bodies have internal clocks, or circadian rhythms, that are strongly influenced by light. The long days of summer can make us feel more energetic and active. The long nights of winter can sometimes lead to feelings of sluggishness or a desire for more rest. Some people experience a more significant form of this called seasonal affective disorder, or SAD. This shows how deeply we are connected to the light cycles of our planet. Our biology is still tuned to the ancient rhythm of the sun, a rhythm set by the steady tilt of our world. Without any hurry, our bodies respond to the light in their own quiet way. Let that settle like dust on a quiet floor. The concept of an equinox being a day of exactly equal day and night is a slight simplification. In reality, the day is usually a few minutes longer than the night on the equinox. There are two reasons for this. First, sunrise is defined as the moment the top edge of the sun appears over the horizon, and sunset is when its last edge disappears. The time it takes for the full disk of the sun to cross the horizon adds a few minutes of daylight. Second, the Earth's atmosphere bends the sun's light, a phenomenon called refraction. This allows us to see the sun for a few minutes before it is actually risen, and for a few minutes after it is set. Up close, these small details add a gentle complexity to the simple idea of balance. Return to the easy rhythm of your breath. The spring equinox is known as the vernal equinox. The word vernal shares a root with rejuvenate, and it carries a sense of newness and revitalization. This time of year has long been associated with cleansing rituals and new beginnings in many cultures. It is a natural point to begin new projects or set intentions, moving in harmony with the energy of the natural world, which is bursting forth with new life. The feeling is one of wiping the slate clean after a long winter and starting afresh. It is a metaphor provided by the Earth itself, a chance to align our own lives with the planet's cycle of renewal. As the pattern repeats, we are offered this sense of a fresh start each year. Let the thoughts soften at the edges and fade. If the Earth had no tilt, there would be no seasons. The sun would always be directly over the equator, and the length of the day and night would be the same everywhere, every day of the year. The poles would be permanently frozen, and the equator would be intensely hot. The climate zones would be fixed and unchanging. The world would be a much less dynamic place. Our planet's 23.5-degree lean is a small detail in the grand scale of the cosmos, but it is responsible for the rich and varied tapestry of life and climate that we experience. This simple tilt makes our world a living, breathing, changing place. In this way, a small imperfection creates a world of beauty. Rest in the steady comfort of this moment. When you see a full moon on a clear winter night, it often appears unusually high in the sky and brilliantly bright. This is because the moon's path across the sky is roughly opposite to the sun's. In winter, when the sun's path is low, the path of the full moon is high, mimicking the high arc of the summer sun. The winter air is also often less hazy and holds less moisture, allowing the moonlight to shine through with exceptional clarity. If there is snow on the ground, it reflects the moonlight, illuminating the landscape with a soft, ethereal glow that can seem almost as bright as twilight. Along a steady path, the moon takes the sun's place in the winter sky. Set the idea down and feel the weight release. Saturn, like Earth, has seasons because of its axial tilt of about 27 degrees. However, Saturn takes nearly 30 Earth years to orbit the Sun, so each of its seasons lasts for more than 7 years. Telescopes like Hubble have watched these long seasons unfold. They've seen a giant storm known as the Great White Spot appear in the northern hemisphere at the start of its spring. They have watched the planet's rings change their appearance from our perspective. When one of Saturn's poles is tilted toward us, the rings are wide and bright. When Saturn is at its equinox, the rings are seen edge on and seem to disappear entirely. Through a soft lens, we can watch the slow breathing of another world's seasons. Let your shoulders drop and the jaw unclench. The transition from one season to another is rarely a sharp line. It is a slow and gentle blending. Late winter often contains hints of spring, a few warmer days, the first brave flowers pushing through the cold ground. Early autumn still holds the memory of summer in its warm afternoons. These transitional periods are times of overlap and soft ambiguity. They remind us that nature does not operate like a switch, but like a gradual fade. The world softens at the edges as it moves from one state to another. This gentle, blurring transition can be a comforting model for the changes we experience in our own lives. Meanwhile, the world continues its slow, seamless transformation. Settle back into the soft pace of night. The scent of rain is different in different seasons. In the summer, the smell that follows a thunderstorm on a hot day is called petrichor. It is caused by oils released by plants that accumulate on dry surfaces, combined with a chemical produced by soil bacteria. These compounds are released into the air when rain hits the ground. In the autumn and spring, a rainy day often smells more of damp earth and decaying leaves. The cooler temperatures change the chemical interactions and the overall feel of the air. Each season's rain has its own personality, its own unique fragrance that is part of the seasonal experience. From a distance, even the rain seems to follow the rhythm of the year. Let the body be held by what supports you. The idea that the solstices mark the beginning of winter and summer is the astronomical definition. But for many, they feel more like the middle of the season. The summer solstice is often called midsummer, the peak of the light. The winter solstice is midwinter, the peak of the darkness. This reflects the experiential reality of the seasons. The full heat of summer has yet to arrive, and the deep cold of winter is still to come. Both ways of seeing it are valid. One is based on precise celestial mechanics, the other on the slower, lagged response of the Earth and our own perception. In the gentle background, science and feeling can both hold a piece of the truth. Allow the mind to idle in gentle space. All of the phenomena we have discussed, from the budding of trees to the migration of birds to the turning of the planets, are all unfolding because of a few simple, constant facts. A planet of a certain mass, a steady, gentle tilt, a consistent orbit around a stable star, and a vast amount of time for complex systems to evolve in response to these rhythms. There is a deep and profound order beneath the surface of things. The seasons are not a random occurrence, but the reliable and beautiful result of cosmic physics playing out on a planetary scale. It is a dance of gravity and light, and we are part of it. As you rest, you can feel yourself as a part of this vast, orderly system. Rest in the quiet that follows. The final and perhaps most relaxing thought is the constancy of it all. The Earth is turning, just as it has for billions of years. The tilt is holding steady. The orbit continues on its long, familiar path. Tomorrow, the sun will rise a little higher or a little lower in the sky, exactly as it is meant to. The seasons will continue to shift in their slow, graceful rhythm. There is nothing we need to do to make this happen. It is a deep, planetary breathing that happens on its own. We can simply rest within it, trusting in the quiet, unwavering clockwork of our world. It is a source of profound stability in which we can find deep and effortless peace. Over time, this rhythm becomes a source of deep comfort. Hold only the calm and let the rest drift. The quiet turning of the Earth is happening right now, even as you rest. Your side of the planet is slowly rotating away from the sun, into the peace of the night. The air is cooling, the world is growing still. On the other side of the planet, morning is beginning. The sun is rising, and a new day is starting. This constant, gentle rotation is the most fundamental rhythm of our lives. It is the source of day and night, the backdrop for the larger cycle of the seasons. It carries us silently through time and space. There is nothing to do but allow yourself to be carried, to let go and trust in this slow and endless turning. In this way, you can find rest in the motion of the universe itself. The mind can feel as quiet as a field at dusk, and so our journey through the seasons comes to a soft close. We have drifted with the tilt of the Earth, stood still with the sun at the solstices, and found balance at the equinoxes. We have felt the deep rest of winter and the gentle awakening of spring. These are not just facts, but parts of a story, a rhythm that you belong to. The same forces that guide the seasons are humming quietly within you. The atoms in your body were born in stars, and your life is lived in harmony with the cycles of this small, tilted planet. As you settle deeper into sleep, know that the world is turning, the seasons are changing, and all is well. You are safe in the quiet, steady rhythm of the cosmos. Sleep well. Good night.